ask.
I know you grew up in, I guess you came to Kilgore in about the 40s?
No, we came
50.
to Kilgore, when Laura was 4 weeks old. So old people always remember what happened depending on the age of their children. Rob was 5 years old.
Yeah.
So that was 1956. She was born January 29th, so we
Yeah.
came when she was in February, I guess.
And Bebob was working as a landman, or was he?
He was working as what they call he did law work, which may have included some landman's work.
Why did you guys choose Kilgore? Just somebody he knew, or the job was
Well, we were in Shreveport at the time. I don't think we were real happy about being there. It wasn't Texas. It was right next door, but still, and it's more Texas than South Louisiana, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But he just got a good offer to come here with the Carter Drilling Company, and that's who Tommy next door, his father worked for at the time.
Yeah. And I know you, growing up in Houston, you guys both went to the same high school, but
Didn't
never
know
did
each
meet.
other. He was 2 years ahead of me.
Yeah.
Seniors didn't have anything to do with sophomores at that time. We probably wouldn't have liked each other.
Did you find Houston to be just too big, too urban? You wanted to get out?
I loved Houston. We both liked it. It was a matter of getting a job. When he finished law school, he went to work for a law company, and the senior partner didn't die, he had a bad stroke and couldn't work anymore. And the other two partners didn't get along at all. So about that time, he got a job with Humble Oil, which is now Exxon, as a landman, and we went to Tyler. Really, I thought I was going to the end of the world. It was country as usual. We laughed because a good friend of mine in high school, and two couples went up there about the same time. And we thought, well, that was real country. It had a town square. I didn't know Houston had a town square and where his courthouse was.
So his brothers never left Houston, and a couple of your sisters never left, right?
No, they never did. I think
one's in Texarkana.
I think Bill did for a while. Bob's older brother went out to West Texas, but first chance he got, he went back to Houston with a different job. He's stuck out in West Texas, some little town, I don't know. I don't remember the name of it. My sisters, one of them stayed in Houston, or the Houston area, and Frances moved to Texarkana because she married a guy she met. She married a guy from Texarkana.
And you have 3 sisters.
No, I have 2 sisters.
2 sisters, no brothers.
No brothers. And Bob had 2 brothers and no sisters.
And the Pottses were all from the Houston area?
Mother was from New Orleans, and my dad grew up in Little Rock.
I know Bebob was only about a 3rd generation American, but
Right.
the Pottses had been here for...
I don't know how long the Potts had been here. I know the Farrells, it was my great-grandfather who came from, great-grandparents who came from New Orleans, Ireland, to New Orleans.
The Farrells.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. They may not have gone directly to New Orleans. I think some of them were at Baton Rouge.
Probably escaping the family.
Father's family, I don't know, your distant cousin Pat, your dad's first cousin, would have the Potts family thing, but I know they came from England to New York State, and they were farmers. I'm not sure about my grandmother's Potts son.
Okay.
She was Nora Potts, and I was Nora Potts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
who, for whom I
Nona
was.
said that.
I was
That's
named.
interesting.
Huh?
Tell them what you said about who introduced your parents to one another.
Oh, boyfriend.
Yeah.
The Reformed Jewish.
Oh, my parents.
Yeah.
My parents. I thought you meant. Okay. There's grandparents. I don't know if I got. My father was from Little Rock. Was in the Navy, and New Orleans was where he was stationed, I guess. And my mother grew up in New Orleans, born and raised there. And she was a Pharaoh, so had the Irish background, and she was Catholic, Roman Catholic, sort of. She wasn't a very good one. And my dad was a strict Presbyterian, very strict. And I think, from what I understand, is they were introduced by a friend who was a Reformed Jew, and his name was Malcolm Levy.
A mensch.
Huh?
A mensch. Good Jewish guy.
Well, not if he was Reformed. By Reformed, I think he thinks he's a Christian.
So you taught taught biology for a lot of years at Kilgore.
Right, about 20.
And I know you kind of cut short your education, is that right? Once you had kids?
I cut short my education. I had 2 years of college, and then Bob and I decided we wanted to get married, so I quit and went to work. And me and Uncle Sam helped put him through law school.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you eventually went back and got your master's?
I eventually went back. The only place I could go from Kilgore at that time was to Nacogdoches, and I got my bachelor's degree, and with a biology major, and I got my master's in MS, Master of Science in Biology.
Did you want to do like administration or
Never did.
be a college
never
professor
did.
or something like that?
No. I would not have minded teaching. I tried to teach at Kilgore College at one time. They weren't taking women, lady biology. I was told there were too many lady biology teachers there already. That wouldn't go
Different
now,
world,
would
yeah.
it? But that was all right. I decided later on that I was very happy in high school because I knew where I was going to teach and what I was going to teach every year.
Yeah.
And in college, at Kilgore College, you may not have had that choice.
Where do you think you got your passion for the sciences, the hard
I
sciences?
don't know. I've just always liked biology, and that was one of my favorite subjects in high school. And in high school, I was in the science club. I was scared to death of chemistry. When I finally took it, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
I avoided it until I couldn't avoid it any longer.
But you never wanted to be a doctor or anything like that?
No, I really didn't. I started teaching just because someone thought since I had my degree, it would be a good idea to teach 1 year for the experience. And I ended up teaching 20
Yeah.
some odd, I'm not sure how many.
That's amazing.
Well, I know you kind of taught in this town, and my dad, when he was going to schools in this town, it seemed like a much different town. What changes have you noticed in this town over since you've been here?
In this town,
For the better or for the worse?
you'd always find the worse easier than the better, but the better is there, and I love Kilgore, I really do. I like the people in it.
Yeah.
And I just like a small town feeling because it's comfortable for me. Now, I know it's not for others, but it's comfortable for me. The bad part is, for a while there, I think we're getting better now, but for a while, we were so dependent on the oil business. That was it. And I think we're becoming more diversified
Yeah.
now. Although the oil business certainly is still seemingly, I don't know, primary. But we have other things here. We have Kilgore College and some other
Yeah.
big
I was sort of,
Synergy Park going on with, I don't know what's going on out there, but it's growing and we're getting more diverse industries and things.
I was sort of envious of the school system back then. Do you think the education system here has gotten, what do you think has changed
I
about that?
think it's, for everyone, it's a little overwhelming now because of the growth of technology. And our population has changed. We have more diverse
Yeah.
language speaking people coming in, and it's hard to keep up with those things. And all the regulations that we get too from the federal government and the state government, that
Yeah.
sometimes they're hard to meet because they're not, they don't tell you how to finance them. They just say, you've got to do this, and you try, but what are you going to do about financing them?
Mm-hmm.
That's,
Especially in this
so it's
current.
hard to, it's just hard to keep up with the times, I guess, and I think our whole school system's kind of fallen behind on that. And I don't mean just in Kilgore, I really don't, I think it's nationwide, really. It's just, and
Yeah, kids aren't really into math and science.
kids aren't into school.
That's true.
Unfortunately.
So-
From what I hear from parents now, not that I know many there with kids who are going to school, but
Yeah.
they don't want to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
They think they can. Maybe it's our fault we're not explaining to the kids that you need to prepare for life as an adult. Well, I don't want to work. Well, you have to work. You have just well learn to find something you like to do and do what you like.
So you never did live outside of the South. Did you ever want to live anywhere else?
No.
You always just were happy here?
If the opportunity had arisen, I probably would have gone at one time. It's, the older you get, the harder it is to change. When you're young, something new
Yeah.
and different is like an adventure, and you want to take advantage of it. To me, that's the way I felt. And if the opportunity come along, I had an opportunity, and we both, Bob and I, dreaded it, to move to California. That scared me. I just, at that time, didn't.
A job opportunity for him?
But I don't know why. I just never thought California was all that great.
Yeah. You don't sound like you would do much things differently anyway.
That's
so-
right. I'm a happy person. I'm satisfied. Life's been good.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not, I don't have enough vision or something, I don't know. Set in my ways pretty young.
Yeah. That was something I really admired about Bebop too, was that he just kind of had an inner happiness about him.
He was a people person, he really was. He met people easily and could talk to anybody and make friends easily. And I think that's one of the things I admired so much in him, because I would like that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty, I'm not self-centered, I don't think, but I'm happy with what I've got. I don't know what you call it.
You think you guys were maybe opposite personalities?
Yes, in some ways. In other ways, we're a lot alike. We've come from very similar backgrounds. And the more I realize, the more I think about it, the more I realize that's true. Yeah. Things you didn't think about before.
Yeah, I could see it being a little bit opposite personalities. He was,
Uh-huh.
I guess you're a little bit more no nonsense than.
Yeah, he was real nonsensical. No, he could be real funny when
Yeah.
Of course, when you marry somebody, their jokes get a little old after a while, but still.
Yeah.
I never knew what to expect. I think that was part of the attraction there too.
Yeah. So you were attending Rice whenever you guys met?
I was,
And
I went there 2 years, and he was fresh out of the Navy.
Just got out of this.
I'm heading back to university, because he wanted to try to get to law school, and he did. And
Yeah, he always seemed like he just knew what he wanted to do. Never a doubt about it.
when he got back from the Navy, I think the Navy was good for him. He grew up a little bit. He matured a little bit then, and sat back, and he did a lot of reading. He had a lot of time to read, and he loved to read. And they had a good library on the ship. And then they had a lot of time on their hands too, I think. But he entered university. See, we finished high school then when we were 16. We were 11 years. And he went straight to Austin to go to the university, and he decided he was going to be an engineer.
Yeah.
Well, he realized after he'd been in the Navy, after he was called out and went in the Navy, that he wasn't so sure about that.
Although both his brothers were engineers, right?
Yes, chemical engineers,
Yeah.
Mhm. Of course, Rice was an engineering school
Yeah.
at that time, strictly. It was called Rice Institute. It wasn't a university then.
I know I guess his oldest brother died right before Taylor was born, Dick. And then,
That's not the oldest. Bill is the
Bill's the
oldest.
oldest.
Dick was the middle child, and Bob was the baby.
So he was from a family of all boys, and you're from a family of all girls.
Right, and he was the third child, I was the second, so I was the middle child.
Okay.
Which they claim has something to do with your personality. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. My older sister and I were so close together. We were just 14 months apart, and we almost kind of grew up as we just did everything together, everything. And she told me what to do in case I didn't know.
So you were definitely closest with your oldest sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that time, of course, when you get older, you change.
Yeah. It was, I know, you knew, I'm too young to remember Bebop's brothers. Were they a whole lot alike in personalities and
No. I don't think so. Dick was pretty sharp-tempered and brilliant, just a brilliant person. He's one of these people with a photographic memory, you know. All he'd have to do is read something, and it was easy for him. But he could understand that not everybody is like that.
he had a quick temper? Was he a drinking man?
No, he wasn't. Yeah. Maybe it's better to say he was opinionated, and he liked to express his. But Bob was too.
Well, that sounds.
Especially as he got older.
Yeah, but I never saw Bebop get angry my whole life. I really didn't. So
Well, he talks back to the TV. He was a very strict conservative.
Was he always that way, or was in his younger days was he a little bit more left leaning?
Well, in his younger days, I never knew he wasn't that expressive about things like that. I think as you grow older, you mellow a little or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But and you realize there are a lot of things you can't change. And do they really need changing?
Mm-hmm.
You tend to hang on to the things you grew up with,
Yeah.
I guess.
One of the stories Bebop told me when he was away at war was that his father dying. He didn't get to attend the funeral.
Yes.
Did that have a really profound effect on him?
I didn't know him then, so I really can't
That's right.
say whether he did or not. But I'm sure it must have to lose your father and hear about it when you're in India. And you can't get home.
But you did get to know his mother.
Yes, I knew Grandma. The kids call him Grandma.
Maudie. What was her name?
was Maud.
What was her?
Maud Glass.
Maud Glass. Okay.
That was where your granddad's middle name came from.
Would she have German ancestry, or would that be?
No. Oh, you haven't stuff. She was English. Don't get me wrong. I'll tell you this story about when we went to Frankenmuth, Michigan, which is where the Schleier family came from, Germany. And we somehow got connected with some distant relative of Bob's who showed, we were up there with Bill and Minna, Bob's older brother and his wife. And she showed this lady, I don't remember her name, she showed us around, showed us the Lutheran cathedral there, and where Bob's great-grandfather, I guess, was buried. And Minna and I made the comment that when we were up there, we noticed everything was so neat. Everybody's house was neat. And it looked like they went out and swept their yard and planted flowers. And she said, oh yes, the Germans take care of their, not like these Englishmen. So everybody criticized everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you guys did a lot of traveling up to Michigan and New York, and you're pretty well
I
traveled.
wish we had been able to go to New York. I've never been able to go up there where my
okay.
family, my dad's family was from. I've got an autographed book that belonged to my grandfather when he was a boy. And they lived in the Syracuse area, but not in Syracuse. Grandfather Potts grew up in a little town called either Williamston or Williamstown, which is just north of Syracuse. And my grandmother grew up in another small town near there called Sandy Creek. Just right on one of the lakes,
So,
Great Lakes.
how did they end up in Texas?
When my grandparents married, my grandfather got a job with the railroad company, and they sent him to Little Rock.
And what was your grandmother's maiden name?
Sherman. Nora Minerva, of all things. Sherman.
Wow.
And she was from
Yeah.
Sandy Creek. I've got a letter back there, or it was not a letter, it's a write-up from the newspaper of their wedding in Sandy Creek. Someday I'll pull that out and let you look at it.
And did you have a chance to get to know your grandparents?
Yes, not well. They lived in Little Rock, and back in the days you grew up, when I was growing up, transportation was not too good. Didn't fly anywhere. And we went up there a couple of times from Houston to Little Rock's, about 500 miles. Or we drive, we get up early in the morning, and 5 o'clock in the morning, and drive all day long, finally get to Little Rock.
So they were all farmers.
So we didn't know. Well, their parents were.
Mhm.
My granddad was with the railroad company. He was a train dispatcher.
And what was your father's occupation?
My father was in the insurance business. He was an insurance salesman, and then later on, he and a partner bought a insurance agency
So he did.
in Houston, B.A. Kilson and Company.
He did pretty well financially.
Well, not really.
You were middle class growing up. I mean.
Oh, yeah. We didn't know the difference then. We were just kids, and we were well satisfied with everything. We had enough to eat and clothes to wear.
Yeah.
We,
Were you more of a daddy's girl, or were you closer to your mother?
Oh, much closer to my mother. My dad was very strict, and he let mother do all the mothering, the parenting.
So your dad would discipline you, and then your mother, you were closest with?
Yeah, I guess in a sense. He wasn't the disciplinarian. I think his favorite word was no. If I asked him, can I do something? No. Whatever it was, no. So then I'd go to my mother. Mother, can I do something? Well, at least you wouldn't say ask your dad. Usually I'd go and do it anyway. Well, where are you going? I didn't say we were going to Galveston. I said, we're going now dancing, which we were going to do. They didn't know I was going to drive all the way to Galveston to do it.
That's awesome.
And that's when they had the gambling piers. You could walk way, way out there on these piers. And at the end, I forgot the name of that club that was so famous. At the end, you could do the gambling and dancing and eat. You could eat all kinds of nice things.
And your mother, was she just a homemaker?
Yes.
She never did
She
work?
taught school for a while, but not.
Okay.
I don't know, my dad, ladies weren't supposed to do work then.
Right.
I don't think women worked a lot until.
The 60s?
During the World War One, when a lot of them went to work in building ships and making airplanes and things like that even.
Yeah.
Well, the men were gone, so somebody had to do the work.
Yeah.
Of course, I was still a kid then, but
Yeah.
I think that's when the women started getting work and realized they could do it and still raise a family.
Mhm.
Well, we're in town to see my grandmother, as she is about to be 97 and getting close to the end. What do you remember about? I didn't get to know my other grandfather, J.M., very well. What do you remember about J.M.?
He was a very nice, wonderful person. He really was. When I had 3 little kids clinging to me and go grocery shopping, I'd walk in that Safeway store, and there he'd be. I don't care how he did it. I don't know how he did it. Hello, Mrs. Schleier. Good to see you. Come right in. And one time I went in Piggly Wiggly. It had just opened. I wanted to see what it's like. And J.M. was there. Hello, Mrs. Schleier. What are you doing here? because
He was
checking things out
curious,
too.
too.
That was so funny. And I felt so guilty because I was in that store.
So you knew him even before my
I
parents
knew
married?
him. I did not. I didn't know your mother, but
Did you know my grandmother Mary?
no, I didn't know you.
You didn't know her?
I did. I knew your mother. I didn't know your grandmother. I talked to your mother.
She had a funny story about. Did you send her to the office, or she had some funny story she would
I
tell?
don't-
Maybe because she couldn't spell Schleier or something.
I don't know. I wouldn't remember something like that. One thing I remember about Kathy when she was one of my students, she stuck a fork or something in the electric outlet, and of course it went poof. And she, oh, I didn't know it would do that. I said, well, now you know. I never will forget that. I thought, well, I've never had a student do that before. But we had these desks where 4 people would sit, and the electric plugs were in the middle of the table so they could use to plug in their microscopes. And that's what it was very easy for them. I have had a couple of other students do that.
Yeah.
But she was my first one, I guess.
Oh my goodness.
She probably doesn't remember that.
You were telling the story earlier about Mimi and Papa being real scared of the lake, or.
Yeah, I had the feeling they were afraid to let you go out there because,
So they never would go out in the boats, or.
well, it's not that so much, but, you know, people who don't swim, they do have a fear of the water. And especially when it comes to their grandchildren, they don't want to be scared. Let them go out.
Okay. Well, I can't think of any more good questions I have for you.
Oh, well.
Just for my family posterity here.
I hope it turns out all right.
That's amazing. You have a wonderful memory.
Well, I hope
You
I
were-
remember it correctly. I don't know now. That's
You-
the way I remember it.
You're very sharp for being in your 80s.
Oh, well,
And you're 80,
I'm
Two.
83.
83?
I'll be 84 in November. Gee, it's hard to believe.
You're
All right.
sharp anyways, regardless of
Well,
the
thank
80s.
you. These boys used to love to come over and talk to Bob a lot. They
Oh,
would
yeah.
sit there and just chat, and Bob would go on and on and on. He had a lot
We
of
do miss
stories.
him.
Had a lot of stories, didn't
Yeah.
he?